What do these men have in common? It may be more complicated than you could have ever predicted. This is Joshy Washy Wishy Wham, Truth Connoisseur, recording this on my iPhone 4S, which was $1 on Groupon. What is arguably the most infamous assassination of a U.S. president? That's right, William McKinley, in September of 1901, was assassinated by Polish-American anarchist and former steelworker Leon Czugos, signing in Theodore Roosevelt as the new president. This was not long after the 1898 Spanish-American War. At the time, trouble had been brewing in the island nation of Cuba, where its people had started a war of independence against their Spanish rulers. Participating in this war was the Cuban intellectual José Martí, who sadly died during the Battle of Dos Rios on May 19, 1895. In 1898, the U.S. Navy, led by John Davis Long, sent a battleship known as the USS Maine to Cuba. This ship was the subject of a massive explosion in Havana, sinking it. Immediately, news of this disaster spread, and war against Spain was declared, a war which Spain would lose, which established the United States as a global power, and granted them the territories of Puerto Rico, Guam, Cuba, and the Philippines. Once again I ask you, what do these men have in common? Joining me now is Stove, who will provide some commentary on the matter. What are your thoughts, Stove?
Hi, Josh. Amtrak is a terrible way to travel. It costs the same as a flight, but it takes longer. All it's good for is if you want to transport something you know you can't get past airport security. Of course, its only benefit is also a huge risk. You're left in constant fear for your life from the other passengers. An Amtrak train crashes at least twice a year. And I only remember traveling on them twice. Both times, I tell you, the train was hours late. The first time it lost power. I don't know anyone with a good experience on Amtrak. If there is anyone who would give Amtrak a positive review, that is a person I do not want to meet. Amtrak is a terrible company, a dying industry propped up by a deeply indebted government. The trains look nice, though.
Thanks, Stove. It's much appreciated. Now, have you connected the dots? John Davis Long was born and raised in Buckfield, Maine. Is it just a coincidence that the Secretary of the Navy at the time sent a battleship that just happened to share the name of the state he was born in? And what of Teddy Roosevelt, who resigned from his government position to join the Spanish-American War with his gang of Rough Riders? Why would he give his position up? The answer lies in the most obvious place it possibly could have. When José Martí died during the Cuban War of Independence, his goal of revolution had not been fulfilled. But the truth is, José Martí never actually died. José Martí, John Davis Long, and Teddy Roosevelt aren't different people at all. José Martí has existed in various forms throughout history, such as the notorious Vladislav I. He's able to exist in multiple forms at once to aid his goals. José Martí was defeated at the Battle of Dos Rios. From there, he rose as his simulacrum John Davis Long, where he commanded the USS Maine to be sent to Havana loaded with explosives. Yellow journalism was rampant at the time, and he knew this would throw the United States into the war. Using his power of mustache whisper, he convinced then-President William McKinley to enter the war, albeit begrudgingly. He took his other persona, Theodore Roosevelt, and re-entered the war. You may be thinking, oh, so José Martí was the one that had McKinley killed? Actually, Martí had not planned for McKinley's death. The assassin, Leon Czugos, was, as I mentioned, a former employee of the steel industry. What connection between our lying government and steel could possibly be found? That's right. Leon Czugos wasn't who they reported him to be. He was actually an agent sent by Daniel Perkins, a steel tycoon who would later sell corrupted steel that would be used to construct the ships at Pearl Harbor, which caused them to sink. Daniel sent this agent so that José Martí would be forced to take the place as U.S. president, distracting him enough so that Daniel's boss, the notorious President Kier, could continue formulating his plans that would cause the 9/11 terrorist attacks over a century later. This was Joshy Washy Wishy Wham, and always remember to keep your eyes open.